You know, you guys, what happens almost every single year in the NBA, at least when you take a step back and look at the entire league record-wise, there always seems to be those 4 to 5 teams that sit in a conversation of their own in terms of thinking about title contenders for that season. And honestly, you guys, I mean, at least when you're looking at the numbers, it is actually a full-on rarity to see a team as far and above the rest of the league as what the Phoenix Suns are currently doing. Because if any of you watching this video have somehow not paid any attention to this entire season of NBA basketball, what the Phoenix Suns are currently doing from almost every aspect of their game is something that we have not seen in a very long time, and if we're being honest, is something we probably won't see for a while in the foreseeable future as well. And what these different aspects are of this team need to be dived into just a little bit further. One sec though, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And for any of you regulars that haven't yet, believe me, now is the time to do so, because according to my numbers, over 95% of you guys coming back to watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. So for any of you that do, thank you so much. But anyway, let's get back into this historic season that we are currently witnessing out of the Phoenix Suns. Because again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, the Phoenix Suns currently sit at a ridiculous 61-14 overall record, which in fact has them currently sitting 9 games above the second best team in the entire league, which is currently the Memphis Grizzlies. But with making this statement, I don't think that most people realize how crazy this actually is in terms of being that far ahead of the rest of the pack. Because just for your reference of what I'm trying to get at here, the only team over the last 30 years to finish 9 games or better above the rest of the NBA was in fact none other than the 1992 Chicago Bulls, who will very likely soon be joined by the Phoenix Suns team we are currently watching if they keep up the pace they have been on for the entire year. So if you were to go as far to say that the Phoenix Suns have been the most dominant team over their competition that we have seen in the league over the last 30 years, you would legitimately have a case to make for this argument. But aside from just their record, there are so many more aspects of this team that I feel we have not seen in a very long time. Because for starters, let's just get into the fact of how undeniably stacked the Phoenix Suns are from top to bottom. Because at the top of the totem pole, you don't just have 1, you don't have 2, but the Phoenix Suns currently have 3 top 10 MVP candidates according to Basketball Reference. I mean, seriously, this graphic alone could tell you enough, but this is just the beginning of this team, as they also have one of, if not the best defender in the NBA at their disposal in Mikal Bridges, and then there is somehow more, as they arguably have one of the best role player and bench units across the league, in players like Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, Cameron Payne, JaVale McGee, and Landry Shamet, just to name a few. But aside from just their star power and depth, possibly the most undeniable aspect of this team is their sky-high level of chemistry. I mean, seriously, if you take just one night to sit back and watch a Phoenix Suns game, it might just be some of the most fluent basketball you'll ever see. And you know, when you usually have these discussions about championship caliber teams, there is typically at least one flaw that you can usually point out that might lead to a downfall of a potential playoff push. To be completely honest, you guys, when you sit down and watch this team fully healthy, it is almost impossible to find a major flaw that sticks out. Like, if any of you watching have seen a major flaw about this team over the course of the year, I would love to hear about it in the comments. But I mean, so far into the season, being only one of 3 total NBA teams to rank both top 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency, and on top of that, be the clear-cut leader in both of the individual categories of these said teams, it is insanely difficult to argue that this isn't some of the best basketball we have seen in recent time. But on top of everything mentioned, what has been the most outstanding aspect of this team to me when watching them over the last couple of months has undoubtedly been the fact of how this team has almost always been able to get the job done with no matter who is out on that court. I mean, when you're having a conversation about any team that has the potential to put up a 68-win season, you're typically going to think, at least for the most part, that this team was relatively healthy. And I'm not going to say that the Phoenix Suns had the worst luck out of any team in the league in terms of injuries, but it's definitely safe to say they also haven't had the best, with small ones occasionally happening here and there, but obviously their biggest one being Chris Paul sidelined for for 6 weeks. And with this major news, and on top of that Chris Paul's obvious impact he's had on this team, many people across the league were curious how the Phoenix Suns would be able to react. And well, if we just pull up the side-by-side comparisons of the Suns play with Chris Paul as opposed to without him, it's pretty safe to say that you can barely even notice a dent in the path. And even with these massive improvements we are seeing out of the Phoenix Suns this season, I definitely know that there are still some people that think, for various different reasons, that the Suns still do not have enough to get over the hump. And if you've watched this team, it's definitely easier to understand how they have, but let's still get into some of these reasons, with possibly the biggest one being that the Phoenix Suns don't have that one superstar that you know will take over the game. And when people say this, I'm assuming they're referring to players like Giannis, Kawhi, KD, and of course LeBron. But even though through the numbers, Devin Booker isn't that borderline 30-point per game player that the rest of the people are that I mentioned, does not mean that Devin Booker is not a part of that upper echelon, and more importantly, cannot get the job done. I mean, even in their playoff run last year, more times than not, even though they fell short, I felt that Devin Booker proved he could be the guy to step up when needed. And even if this is a case to be made, the Phoenix Suns team as a whole has continued to prove this entire year that everyone can step up in a clutch situation. As in fact, just to give you some ridiculous numbers concerning this, the Phoenix Suns this season have an insane 31-6 record in clutch games, and on top of this, which might be the craziest stat of them all, they have not lost a single game this season when leading after the third quarter. If you want the pure definition of a team that can close out a game and get the job done, it is easily the 2022 Phoenix Suns. Now again, it is undeniable the greatness we are seeing out of this team throughout the course of the regular season, but of course, as we all know from what we have seen in the recent past, as a wise man once said, it won't mean a thing without a ring. That was unbelievably corny, but anyway, now that I've got everything off my chest, I want to hear what you guys have to think about the Phoenix Suns. So please let me know in the comments, do you think the Phoenix Suns have what it takes to come home with a ring at the end of the season? And on top of that, what has been the most surprising aspect about the Suns to you in particular? But also, you guys, again, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. I mean, honestly, you guys, brand new NBA videos every single week and the playoffs right around the corner, it just sounds like a win-win situation. But either way, thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything, you all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.